He's made the best ever decision to not go to college. It's exactly what I fucking want him to do, because college education, that might be great for some people, but guess what? If you're listening to me, you're not a fucking worker. You're not a fucking servant. You're not a fucking pissant. You're somebody that's going to go out there and grab it by the fucking throat, throttle its fucking ass, and drag it back home because it's yours. You fucking took it. That's how it's supposed to be. That's exactly how it's supposed to be. This world owes you fuck all. It doesn't owe you shit. You got to go out there and take it by fucking force. And if you ain't paying attention, looking around, everybody that's blind to this shit, they're trying to make it impossible for you to have your own fucking way in this world. They're trying to strangle it from every one of you.
I have students from both groups, and both of them want me to talk about things and defend each side. So I'm going to make a blanket statement here in 2 sentences, and then that's all I'm going to say about it. Okay. What you are doing is prophesied. I don't have an answer for it, and I pray for both of you to stop, because there's children that are suffering. Adults, they can make these decisions to war, but the children don't have that. They're taught to do these things, and it's both sides. So that's my statement on it. But the topic this morning came to mind when I thought about my son, where as a new trader, maybe as a new student, someone that's trying to dabble into technical analysis and trading and seeing who has what that is appropriate for them, because not everything that I teach is going to be appropriate for everyone. And for most of you, when you come in, if you ever listen to anybody else teach or talk about the markets, as soon as I drop the idea or suggest the idea or make the case that there is 100% manipulation and control of the markets and it's algorithmic. And before electronic trading became a thing, it was a group of men that actually controlled price, and they're the real market makers. When it was automated and turned to electronic format, there's scripts that run. And I don't know why it's so hard for people to accept this, but I understand that it goes against the grain that's been established in this industry, because so many people have titles and so many people have accolades that were given because of whatever they've done, and they attribute it to previous archaic ideas that the markets are buying and selling pressure or supply and demand factors. And it's not. It's manipulation, control, sentiment, and unseating those individuals for the purposes of fleecing them and taking their position over and them taking the money. So that's really what it's all about. It's war. It's warfare, basically, and deception. So if you understand going into that, it's not shocking. It just arms you, so that way you come in with the right mindset, so that way you're not worrying about your system being perfect. You're more concerned about not falling a victim to what is predominantly used against retail thought. But as a new trader, as a new student, or someone that's trying to do it, it's really easy to get motivated in the beginning. Seeing other people show you their results, seeing students getting interviewed and talking about how empowered they feel in taking money out of the marketplace and being able to spend it, not just simply have some kind of market replay report, which you can't spend money on, or a demo account, which we're not paying taxes on demo. And you can't pay your bills on that. You can't pay your bills and take your spouse or significant other over to a nice restaurant once a month and not think too much of it because of a paper or tape reading event. Those results, they don't pay the bills. So when you finally get to the point where you want to try to do this and you feel motivated, a strange thing takes place when you're out there watching price action live. And when you know there's a likelihood of a big news driver coming out, something, that we call a volatility injection, which is a red folder event on the calendar. you can use the Econo Day or you can use the Forex Factory calendar. I use those interchangeably. But going back years and years and years ago, before Forex was available to us as traders, Econo Day and the equivalent was always the economic calendar everybody went to. But I like the format for Forex Factory because it was easy for me to snatch those and share them as a screenshot to students when I was just teaching predominantly the Forex market. Well, when we have these motivations in the beginning as a new interested party in speculation, learning how to trade, learning how the market's book price and how to engage it and try to seek a pattern, a model, an approach, a trading plan, something to get you into a trade, help you manage it, control your impulses, aiming for a result that is hopefully gainful at the end. And if not, not as much of a painful loss that would be so debilitating it would remove your interest or remove the motivation. But when you are watching real time live price action, whether it's tape reading, whether it's demo trading, whether it's trading a combine and trying to get a funded account passed, or trading a funded account, or live, your money at risk. It's a weird phenomenon that takes place where all the motivation that led up to you wanting to do this, now you're here. You're at the dance now. Okay, you're sitting there and you're watching price action in real time. You're not studying it in hindsight and back testing. You are now met with the uncertainty of that hard right edge, and you don't know where it's going to go. And if you subscribe to an opinion, that opinion may be challenged immediately as soon as you associate it to whatever you see in the charts. And that motivation sometimes can become impulse. Everything that you try to do in the beginning that leads you into the idea of pursuing profitability. This is your career. This is your secondary income. This is your retirement plan. This is your get rich program, whatever it is. All of you are going to have different views about why you're doing this. You want to impress your in-laws. I always found that very amusing when in 1995 I heard Larry Williams talk about that. That's when he would do seminars, live events where people would be there and he's teaching them. They would send out a questionnaire in the beginning, and then, what are you trading for? Like, why are you trading? And he said it was fun to read a lot of the responses, and people would say, like, to prove to my mother-in-law I was, really worth it for their daughter to be married to him, right? So, I mean, all of us have these secondary reasons to get in. Yeah, I had that. That's the real reason why I got into it, and that's why it made me laugh when I first heard it, but also was pulling back as an audience of one watching his VHS tape in 1995. It made me feel uncomfortable because he nailed me right there, because that's why I started trading. The whole reason why I started in pursuing it was I wanted to be better and bigger than everybody else thought I would be or am. And as a young man, you're very vulnerable. You're vulnerable to the effects of other people's opinions of you. And young men typically will act like they don't care, and they'll raise up and they'll use colorful language and maybe even want to throw hands because you've really just crushed them. And I was like that as a 20-year-old. I wanted to find success outside of the normal venues and routes that people take, working as an employee, going through college, trying to be the good slave. And I don't have that. I've never really had that mindset. And it was very hard for me to try to subscribe to that view in the beginning, because it had, in my mind, it was a plan B. Like, I was going to do everything I could to figure out how the markets work. But if I couldn't, at least I have a degree. At least I can go in, and at the worst case, I could be a programmer. Worst case. But I was learning COBOL, CICS, Pascal, Basic, C++. That was the highest at the time when I was going through. Now, Did any of that help me get a job? No, didn't help me get a job at all. And all the things that I started with as a motivation, like I'm going to be a systems analyst, I'm going to be a consultant for companies, and I'm going to have my own firm. That was my plan. I didn't want to be an IT specialist or a computer programmer, someone working for a company. My motivation was always, I'm going to have my own place, my own thing. I'm going to call the shots for myself because I don't want other people telling me what I want to do. So I was motivated. And what's weird is I was never impulsive at all in my decision making while going through the required lessons, classes, getting the credits, working towards a degree that would, in my mind, I thought was going to, who wouldn't want someone with computer science and specializing in business management? I mean, you think about that. I mean, like you got it, right? That's what my opinion was. And I was never impulsive. I was submissive to whatever. This is the prerequisites for this class. To get this, you got to do this, you got to do that. And trading wasn't even in my thoughts. Like it wasn't there. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And because of circumstances, working for a Jewish family and owns mills, and a chance opportunity to see a magazine that, I don't know, maybe I would have saw it on a news rack somewhere, but I never really would have, in my mind, wanted to reach for Entrepreneur magazine, because it's like anything else. Most of it's advertisements. But it just happened that that magazine was laying on the desk in front of me, and I asked my then boss. I said, Glenn, can I borrow this tonight? I'll bring it back. He's like, you have it. And you know the story, that little classified ad in the back started a whole process of learning about commodities, which was coming now full circle because when I was 14, 15, and 16 years old, my uncle was telling me the richest people in the world trade futures and options. Get yourself a good job. He was pushing me to be an electronic technician, and I wasn't interested in that. And in sixth grade, I was making my own games. I was coding them. I would stay after school in the math class, and I would ask the teacher, my math teacher, I said, can I stay as long as you stay? And when you leave, I'll leave. Yep, no problem. And sometimes I would be lucky enough to be there till 6:30. Other days it would just be 30 minutes. And I'd walk home angry that I didn't get enough time to practice and use because I didn't have a computer. Like I didn't have one. So, these are all the days when we had the floppy disks where you couldn't put anything on it. Like it was nothing. It was like literally no storage whatsoever. And the computers were just glorified calculators, right? But I was never impulsive about any of it. But I've always been 1,000% in whatever I've been in. I've always been, 1,000% effort into it. But I was never really impulsive about any decision making that was associated with that career path. So I found it a little bit shocking when looking at price as a 20-year-old and the potential to make a lot of money in a very short period of time and the sense of accomplishment that it might present to me. It was a perfect storm where I'm entering a field brand new, 1992. I have no idea what's going on, no idea how to trade. I read one book that was basically a rag that just introduced something that was not even a method. Like I've presented you lots of concepts, but I've also given you specific models, how to use it, what time it's going to form, how to enter it, how to put your stop loss into it, how to add to it, where to target. That's a complete, absolute, no excuse. Now you know how to trade and you can apply it to any time frame. I didn't have that when I first started. I had, this is a head and shoulders pattern. This is a bull flag. This is a channel breakout. This is a wedge. This is a ascending triangle, descending triangle. And this is a broadening top and bottom formation or megaphone pattern and trend lines. That's what I came into trading commodities with. And the first step out of the gate in that race, impulse showed up. Why? I didn't know it then. I had no idea what I was doing, why I was even doing it at all. I completely lost focus of what was the motivation for me to be there. I mean, it got me there. It got me to the point where I put money into a brokerage account. It got me to the point where I was willing to accept the pay $100 per contract, which they called full service commission. And as a new trader, it felt like they were going to protect me. And for the most part, they would just help you. You know, you're sure you want to go long. That means you're trying to make money as it goes up, right? Okay. Do you want to use a stop loss? How much are you willing to risk? And they would help you determine. That was Fox Investments. Now, when you went with Lind Waldock or Ira Epstein or something to the equivalent, something where, you know, they expect you to know your orders. They're not in there to handhold. Like they want to get your order and get off the phone. That's the way it was back then. We called in our orders. And some of you just don't understand the gravity of that and how that would make it even more complex for you. Right now, you're all young. You're all fresh faces in this industry listening to me. And you're thinking, you know, what was that like? Yeah, it was something. Not only did you have to be right and you had time to market, but you had to then time the market in a way where you were anticipating the setup because you knew when you called the broker, you got the front desk first, then you got to give them your desk number or letter. Since my last name was Huddleston, I was on the H desk. Okay, go to the H desk and you wait for them to pick up the phone. Usually within 2 rings, they pick up. And then they tell you, okay, H desk, you know, what's your order? And you tell them your account number. And then you give them an access that says that you verifies who you are, kind of like a PIN. And then you tell them what you want to do. And then they read the order back to you. The whole time, all of this is going on. The market's ticking around, up and down, maybe running away from you. And I had live cattle trades that did that. It was like they opened the gate and they all ran out. And, you know, I was, you know, buying something way past the price I should have. But I was thinking, well, you know, my motivation told me that you know, I need to be on the phone calling the broker. And when he told me the price, because everything I was doing was market orders in a move that I'm bullish and it's already started running. And the price he's telling me literally is $400 past where I'm trying to get in. My motivation became impulse. I had to be part of that move. It just confirmed that I was right about where it's going to go. And I was so willing to be part of it so I can claim I was right. I was willing to be placed in the trade at a very poor location. And I had to sit through a day of drawdown because I bought it at an inflated price. And then my price was literally like 4 or 5 ticks away from the high of the day. And then it just receded back throughout the day. And I was watching on my Quotrek, which is a little handheld device, not much really about the same dimension of my Ultra 20 right now, which is a Samsung phone I use. I use Android because Apple sucks. The For the folks who want to know why I think that, it just, I've had 2 phones where they failed on me and Apple would not go in and open the phone up for me so I can get my videos out. So I've lost several Christmases and birthdays and things that I filmed that I can't access. So that's my beef with Apple. Okay. But now since I'm a Samsung user, Android is better, way, way better. But the same dimension size of the phone I'm using, can't wait to get rid of on November 12th. The size and dimension of this is almost equivalent to what a Quotrek was.